All right, thanks to all you guys for being, and gals, for being here with us for the Goodies Headache Relief Shot 500 weekend. We're excited about everything that's happening in the next 3 days, but right now I have a special thing I'd like to give Jeff. As everyone knows, this is his last full-time year for racing here at Martinsville. It's hard to believe that this is your last one. I remember when it was your first one. So we got to thinking, what can we do here that's unique, special, that I know you don't have, and we came up with an idea, and I'd like to present it to you now, but I can get some help here.
Look at that.
Obviously, the train is pretty synonymous with Martinsville, runs down the backstretch, but each of the cars represent each of your 8 wins here at Martinsville. There's a picture of Victory Lane and something to remember your victories here. That locomotive is actually the same one that runs these tracks every day. So, Jeff, congratulations.
Thank you, Clay.
Again, thanks for everything that you've done for Martinsville over the years and for NASCAR. You've been a heck of an ambassador and a great competitor.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. Well, thank you, Clay. You have no idea what that train, the symbol of it, but also the sound of it, how it never goes away in your mind when you think about Martinsville. Where the bus lot is over here. I cannot think of a night before a Martinsville race where I've not heard that train go by, and it's just not Martinsville without it. So I'm going to have to get some sound effects to go along with this, and place it somewhere where I can hear it at night. It'll bring back some great memories. And thank you so much. This is great. The kids are going to love this as well. But Clay, I can't thank you enough for what you and everyone around this community and this racetrack has done. I love this track. This track has been extremely good to me. And I one of the things that gets brought up a lot when people are asking me about, are you ever going to come back? Ever going to come back and drive any races? The one track that comes to mind about maybe coming back, and I don't know if it'd be in a Cup car or not, it's right here. It's because this place means that much to me, and I don't know, maybe an old guy could still get it done around this place. Thank you very, very much.
This train actually, Lionel built this train, but it's actually built in Virginia. So that's pretty neat. And like I say, that's actually a replica of the engine that runs by here that wakes you up several times during the night.
I didn't say it wakes me up. It just puts me into a calm place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, Clay. Certainly, Martinsville Speedway here for Jeff Gordon leads me into my opening question, Jeff. You've won here 8 times, and you are now in the eliminator round of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. You win here Sunday, and you're in the championship. And with the new format, just in its second year of existence, how does that play into how you approach this race? Does it alter anything you do? Obviously, you always want to try to win, but knowing if you win Sunday, you're in the finals.
Yeah, I think back to this time last year, we were in a very similar position coming here, coming to a track that we run extremely well at and have a great opportunity, and how we seize that moment. We were under slightly different circumstances in the fact that we were really, really strong at all the tracks, even the 1.5 miles last year coming into this race. But we still were looking and approaching this race very similar to what we are now. And it seems like no matter what changes in the sport, with the rules and the engine package, we always seem to be able to come here and find speed. So we certainly have that kind of confidence within our program. But at the same time, going over the debrief this week and planning and all the things we're looking at for this race, we also were reminded how tough this place can be. And we were reminded of that earlier this year when we qualified 4th and we dropped back at the beginning. The track wasn't taking rubber. It was kind of cool conditions similar to what we have here today. And we fought through tire wear and balance with the car for the first half of the race. But we were able to find our way back to the front at the end until we had the issue on pit road. So I think that to me was great, because it really put me in the mindset of there's no givens. It's not just because it's Martinsville we're going to come here and dominate. It's not. We're going to work hard. We're going to grind it out like we have been, and if we do everything right, that we have a real legitimate shot at not only winning this weekend but moving on to Homestead.
Take questions. Start right over here.
Jonathan Merriman, NASCAR.com. Jeff, the safer barrier here is along the front stretch and the back stretch on the outside wall. Is that going to change how you set your car up to get off the corner, or do you think it'll affect the racing here at all?
Well, the funny thing is I received a picture last night that came via NASCAR to my crew chief of that safer barrier, and when I looked at it, my eyes got pretty big. I was like, wow, that's a pretty big change. And then I'd kind of forgotten about it, and we started practice, and I didn't even think about it. I almost didn't even notice it. I came in, I was thinking about it, and I told Alan, I said, man, I forgot all about that safer barrier, and it wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be. And then one of my crew members came over, and they said, did you touch the wall? And I was like, I don't think so. They said, well, there's a scuff on the right side. So I guess it was a little closer than I thought it was. Yeah, it's going to make it interesting. It didn't change things as much as I was anticipating, though. But I think that I was also quite surprised of the speeds that we saw in practice for qualifying, based on the fact that we lost quite a few feet. If you think of coming off of turn 2 and coming off of turn 4 and putting those together.
Other questions? Let's go here to front row right here to Mike, and then we'll go to Nate. And then Bob.
Mike Hember, USA Today. Jeff, so many drivers come here having raced on half-mile tracks, 3/8 mile tracks, have really good records, and they come here and for whatever reason just can't win. You were pretty good here, starting, I guess, 4, 5, 6 races in with top 5s and then a couple of wins. What makes that difference? Is it the relative flatness of this track that's difficult for so many guys, or what?
Yeah, this is a tough track. It is a really tough track. It goes against all of the normal instincts that you have as a race car driver. Your goal as a race car driver is to drive as deep into the corner as you can, brake as hard as you can, get back to the gas as early as you can. And this is not that at all. If anything, it's not over braking the car, getting in the corner. It's about rolling out of the brakes and waiting a split second before and get the car pointed before you get back into the throttle. It takes a lot of patience here, and I think that that not only suited my style, but it also allowed me to communicate really well with the team so that they could just fine-tune that setup, and didn't hurt that I've always had really good race cars here as well.
Let's go to Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Not to dredge up the bad memories, Jeff, but the last 2 times here, you probably would be in victory lane if not for speeding penalties. Was that human error mostly, tachometer, and do you feel like you guys have addressed it, or do you feel like you've solved it going into Sunday?
Yeah, it's trust me, nobody beats themselves up more about it than me. It's a combination. The last time we were trying to accelerate in a zone that we felt like we were safe to do so, and I think we just underestimated the amount of speed that I could carry into the box, and we missed on that. So that was sort of a combination error. The 2 times prior to that, I would blame it on myself. One time I came down pit road, and I was supposed to be in first gear, carrying whatever RPM it was, and I forgot, and I was in second gear, and so that was completely on me, and I don't remember what the other one was, but I think it was on me too. So I like to think that I learn from my mistakes and don't make the same ones over, and they've all been different scenarios, but they've all been related to pit road. So I feel very confident what we have planned for this weekend and in executing it.
Let's go to Bob Pockrass.
Bob Pockrass, ESPN. We've been talking a lot with Logano about how he's gotten some hate mail in the last couple of weeks, and I assume Harvick will probably get an interesting reception on Sunday. Does
That's what happens when you wrong Junior, especially at Talladega. I'm very familiar with that.
Yes, you are.
does it matter at all as far as the driver's psyche?
I wasn't even a part of it, and I think I got some hate mail. What were you saying?
Does it matter? I mean, you've been through times where you've been booed, and of course this year everybody is. Most people are cheering you because it's your last year, I imagine.
Right. Sure.
Does it play at all in a driver's psyche?
Not if things are going well for you. I think, if things aren't going well and then you did something that caused that reaction from the fans, then that'll eat at you a little bit. But if you're like Joey, I mean, he's doing everything right now. I mean, I don't think there's one single thing he can sit there and say, yeah, I wish I hadn't have done that. That was, a bad idea as far as Talladega is concerned. With what happened with him and Matt, I mean, that's a consequence that he'll have to weigh out, and we'll only see if that was a smart move or not. He's already locked in. Were you doing it to keep Matt out of it, or were you doing it just because you're aggressive and want to win? And you can't blame the guy for that. So I mean, they're doing everything right. They're winning races, and they're the team to beat. And I think I don't think any negativity is going to impact what they're doing right now. Harvick, they're kind of on the fence there because they've shown some weakness and not to mention, I don't think it sets well with him when Joey's doing well. So it's a double whammy for him. But those guys have a great way, and Kevin's really good at recovering and handling those kinds of things, I feel like.
Let's go to the back there. Chris, raise your hand. Go ahead, Chris.
ChrisKnight, Jeff, earlier this week we saw the video that you gave that 2003 Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS to one of your biggest fans, Lorraine, after hers was involved in a fire. What does it mean to you to do stuff like that and make a difference in someone's life like her?
Yeah, that was really cool. I met her in June, and immediately when I met her and she shared her story with me, my heart went out to her, and I could tell what a huge fan she was. And anybody that has that car, right, if they have one of those 24 Monte Carlos from 2003, they're a big fan. And so I felt for her, and then it just so happened that me and my stepfather were talking about one of our own cars that we had collected for many years and had in a warehouse, and we were talking about what our plans were with that car. And I said, I got an idea. I said, if we can track down this lady that I met, I said, I think she deserves it, and we could give it to her. And you saw, I mean, that was what we ended up working out and doing, and of course it felt good, but more importantly, it was just to see the smile on her face, to see her reaction, to see one of your biggest fans, get an opportunity and an experience that they'll never forget is, that's pretty much what life's all about, in my opinion.
Other questions? Let's go up here to Barry, and then we'll go second row here. Go ahead, Barry.
Okay. Barry Richmond, Piedmont Broadcasting Corporation. Jeff, I'm going back about 20-plus years when I interviewed you. I was with Nestle Food Company, and you were driving the Busch Grand National car for Baby Ruth. We had a conversation, talked about your move with Mr. Hendrick and the DuPont sponsorship. And I guess looking back, you got 20/20 hindsight, but looking ahead, putting yourself back to that date, did you really anticipate you would have one of the longest relationships with a car sponsor as well as a car owner in the case of Hendrick Motorsports?
No, you could have never anticipated that. I felt like I was making a decision to go with a top quality organization that gave myself the best opportunity to win races and hopefully one day battle for a championship. But I had no idea it was going to turn into what it was. And at that time, we didn't even have a sponsor when I made that decision. But Rick assured me that wasn't going to prevent us from being out there on the racetrack, although I don't know, I'd like to have that conversation with him now to see if he actually would have changed his mind. But it all worked out. We signed with DuPont, and and continued with them for many, many years. And now, even with Exalta, now it's basically, a DuPont company. So, yeah, pretty amazing to see how this thing has unfolded. And man, I wouldn't change anything. It's been amazing.
Let's go here to second row, right here, and then we'll go to Kenny.
Charles Rourke, Star News. I cover Martinsville, so I always ask Martinsville questions. Last time you said the Dutch Inn was your favorite place, but the thing
I said that?
Yeah.
I was being sarcastic.
Okay. The thing I want to ask you is what will be your
Bring out the welcome wagon for him.
what do you think will be your lasting impression of Martinsville? And when you think Martinsville, what would you think of first?
Well, and I'll tell you, I had an event last night with Pepsi at the local Walmart, and we had an incredible group of fans that came out. And I tell you, the interaction and the conversations and the memorabilia that they brought out rivals the biggest fans that I have throughout the country. And that's what stands out to me in Martinsville is the amount of loyal support that I have here. I think obviously winning 8 times here helps, but still these folks have a lot of choices as to drivers that they can pull for and how avid they choose to pull for that driver. And I saw it at the height of it all last night during that event.
Kenny Bruce.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Jeff, the question before, when you started, when you joined Rick, I mean, what were your expectations? Did you think you were going to be here for 20 years, 25 years, or whatever? I mean, or did you think, well, okay, we're just going to see how this goes?
I was never one, especially back then, to be a long-term thinker. I was just thinking. I saw an opportunity, and tried to make the best instinctive decision that I could with people that was surrounded by, like my parents and Ray Evernham. My roommate Andy Graves at the time worked for Hendrick. That gave me some confidence because he was bragging about them all the time. He'd come home and say, "Oh man, we're working on this. This is going to be awesome. We're doing this. Oh man, we're going to win this race. We're going to go do this and do that." And so I was, and he's a guy that I had confidence in because I worked with him in Indiana with the midgets and sprint cars, and we'd gone way back. And so for him to speak that highly of the organization, then Ray, who I had a tremendous amount of confidence in, speak highly of them. And then the interaction I had with Rick, how genuine he was, how personable he was, and he's lived up to everything he's ever told me he would do, and then some. And you can only base your decisions on that, but I had no idea that it was going to lead to all this. No way could anybody have anticipated that, but I felt like I was making a good decision at the time. No, I didn't have a backup plan. I mean, you got to understand, I was feeling pretty confident in things because not only was Bill Davis pretty angry and fighting for me to stay there, but I had Cale Yarborough asked me to drive his car, and I tested for him. We had some folks from Ford that were talking to us a lot. So we were winning and running very competitive in the Busch Grand National Series. So we certainly seemed to have things going our way at the time. But as you've seen over the years, sometimes those opportunities, they come when things are going well, and all it takes is for them to go into a downturn and those opportunities to go right away. So I was able to capitalize on those opportunities at the right time and turn it into what it's turned into.
Let's go back in the back. Gentlemen, back in the back. Raise your hand, please. You have a question? Go ahead.
Zach Tanzarelli, front stretch. What would you say is more important here? Conserving your brakes, conserving your rear tires, or conserving your temper?
Well, for us, I mean, lately, I can't say you've had to really conserve the brakes. I can tell you can melt a bead on a tire because the brakes get hot. If you're not careful, if you're in traffic, you lose some fans in the front. You damage the the front end and the ducting for the cooling of the front brakes. That can get you in a lot of trouble. When I say we struggled here the first half of the races, if you notice, this place is not taking rubber the way that it used to, and a lot of it are the cool temperatures and just the rubber compound that Goodyear has here, and it really wears the rear tires out in a hurry, and that's the thing we've probably struggled with the most. I feel like I've done a pretty good job handling my temper over the years here, and anyway, I mean, other places maybe not so much, but here for the most part. But that can change too. I would say between rear tires and temper.
Okay, we'll finish up. Far right over here. Raise your hand there, Sean.
Jonathan Rammer, NASCAR.com. Jeff, no caboose on that train. I have to imagine that maybe that was done on purpose because you're not done here yet. What would it mean for you and your career to make Clay go to the trouble of adding another car to the train?
I hope that's the way he was thinking, as long as this track can be added too, because there's not much room there. But that would be pretty amazing. There's nobody that has more motivation and reasons to get that 9th victory than our race team this weekend. So I'm sure that me and Clay can come to an agreement on that if we need to. Be pretty cool.
Jeff Gordon, thanks for coming in here today, and good luck this weekend at
Thank you.
Martinsville.
Appreciate it.